Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A lot has changed in the 50 years since San Diego's first ever Pride March. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. In 1974, activists took to the street without permission from the city government. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen shows us how elected officials marked the anniversary today with a Pride Month kickoff event at City Hall.
It's so lovely in San Diego that we get to celebrate Pride twice, with June in the rest of the world and then July here for the rest of us.
The city council chambers were packed with rainbow flags Monday morning at the Pride kickoff event. Among the speakers was Christine Kehoe. In 1993, she became the first openly gay elected official in San Diego. She served on the city council and later in the state assembly and senate. She says she's proud of having helped make San Diego and California welcoming places for the LGBTQ+ community.
But in other states, our right to marry, to express and determine our gender identity, to access the health care we need, all these rights that are now in law are being threatened state by state every day. We need to be vigilant always. We cannot drop our guard.
A recent report from the California Department of Justice found reported hate crime events were down overall in 2023, but hate crimes against LGBTQ+ people were up. Even in San Diego, threats to the community's safety are present. In May, an unidentified person drove past several gay bars in Hillcrest shooting a pellet gun. One person was struck in the eye. And last month, a projectile shattered the window of a nonprofit serving transgender migrants. Both incidents are being investigated as potential hate crimes.
Our community is so resilient. We have decades and centuries of experience in holding both protests and celebration at the same time, in the same breath. Because pride is still protest in every sense of the word, and pride is also joy, and our queer joy is resistance.
Pride events are taking place throughout July, culminating in the Pride Parade on July 20th and the Pride Festival in Balboa Park on the 20th and 21st. This year's theme, Making History Now. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Firefighters say they're making good progress on a fire that broke out in the East County today. It started near Kitchen Creek Road and Old Highway 80. That is south of the 8 freeway. That's in the community of Lake Morena. At last check, the Cleveland National Forest said the fire spread to 43 acres and is 5% contained. Boulder Oaks Campground was evacuated as a precaution, including 30 campsites. CAL FIRE crews are assisting in the fight with 13 engines, 4 crews, and 6 aircraft responding. The U.S. Forest Service told KPBS the wind conditions were helping rather than hurting crews in battling the flames. And we are also monitoring another fire that broke out this afternoon in Jacumba Hot Springs. You can see it here on one of SDG&E's Alert California wildfire cameras. It started with a car fire at McCain Valley Road and the 8. Then it extended into nearby brush. CAL FIRE San Diego says it's currently 20 acres with a moderate rate of spread. Those camping at De Anza Springs Resort are being asked to evacuate.
We have a pretty steamy week ahead of us here, and tonight in the short term, comfortable weather for the coastal areas down into the mid-60s, low clouds near the coast. We're going to see some of that morning cloud cover carrying us into the second morning of July, and then we'll begin to see more sunshine break out. But you'll notice an excessive heat warning is in effect across many inland areas here into the desert's a very hot time. Excessive heat watch up to the north of Los Angeles as we prepare for the heat to escalate. We'll tell you how high we go in just a bit.
The Supreme Court issued its ruling in the blockbuster dispute over whether former President Donald Trump may claim immunity from election subversion charges. Our Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook breaks down the decision.
The Supreme Court ruled Monday that Donald Trump may claim immunity from criminal prosecution for some of the actions he took in the waning days of his presidency.
They gave the president far more immunity than I think many of us had predicted. And I think what's even more notable here is the number of questions that they left open.
The decision says presidents have immunity for official acts, but not all acts are official, and lower courts must decide which acts qualify for each. This will likely further delay a trial on the federal election subversion charges pending against the former president.
Jack Smith's federal case relating to 2020 election subversion. This now goes back to the district court, which has to hold a factual hearing to decide what was in the scope or out of the scope of the job. That in itself is appealable.
In the majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts embraced one of the central themes raised by Trump's team, that allowing prosecutors to look back at actions would potentially hurt a president's ability to do their job. The decision was 6-3 along conservative liberal lines. Justice Sonia Sotomayor did not hold back in her dissent, writing that the ruling could lead to nightmare scenarios. Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Let him use his official power for evil ends. Because if he knew that he may one day face liability for breaking the law, he might not be as bold and fearless as we would like him to be. That is the majority's message today. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
San Diegans have been enjoying slightly lower gas prices as of late, but starting today, you may notice prices creep up slightly. The state excise tax went up 2 cents today from 58 to 60 cents per gallon. And according to the California Energy Commission, drivers will be paying an additional 90 cents per gallon in federal, state, and local taxes and fees. Our media partner, KGTV, spoke to a local economics professor who questions if the state's push for zero-emission vehicles by 2035 is a factor.
You have to be charging more in order to make up for the possibility that you may not be in business anymore in California.
And there is a silver lining. Gas prices have dropped 25 cents across the county over the last month. If you owe property taxes, there's still a few hours left to pay without penalty. Those that owe have until midnight before unpaid bills go into default. Default bills will incur a $33 redemption fee and a 1.5% penalty each month. And you can pay online at sdttc.com or by calling 855-829-3773. A plan to buy a ranch in Vista and build a campus of healing has sparked controversy in the community. On Sunday, County Supervisor Jim Desmond faced a room full of residents to try to answer their questions. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne was there.
News of the county's intent to purchase Green Oak Ranch hasn't sat well with many Vista residents. In late April, Supervisor Jim Desmond introduced his idea of a campus for healing, a 200-bed treatment center for adults with mental illnesses and substance use disorders. On Sunday, Supervisor Desmond faced the crowds looking for some answers.
We may not even get the property. And I get the vibe in this room, you don't want to see it. But, amen. All right.
Many of the residents' questions were about the impact to the community and security.
I'm a firefighter, and I go to these facilities, these county-run facilities, with doctors, with staff, just like you described, on a daily basis.
Are they treatment centers?
Yes, they're county mental health treatment centers. We go to these facilities often, getting a turnover from the doctor to transport them to another facility. 198 times at one facility. So you can sit there and promise that to us, but it's not the reality. My next question is, will you allow sex offenders in this facility?
Desmond's response to safety concerns was the promise of on-site security and a sheriff's deputy on location 24/7. Tim Tronconi lives near the ranch. He started a community action group to stop the development of the campus for healing.
We want the city of Vista to buy this land. If they want to build a similar facility on a local level, supporting the citizens of Vista, I'm all for that. We want to help the people that we want in this community, right? But a county-run facility, taking people from downtown all the way up to Vista, 45 minutes away, is wrong.
There's no guarantee the county will get the property. The city of Vista is currently getting it appraised. And Councilmember Dan O'Donnell is hoping the city will submit a formal offer.
This is a unicorn. It is 120 acres in our city that will literally never come up again, not in our lifetime, not in the next lifetime. And I want to see that space activated in a lot of different ways. And that could be ball fields, that can be more parks, that can be improving the trails, that can be job training facilities, that can be fire training facilities.
This unicorn is overseen by a land board, which so far has kept a low profile. They do have 2 offers to review already. No timelines are known for the sale of the property. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
A state law designed to protect people from having date rape drugs put in their drinks at bars goes into effect today. The law requires bars and nightclubs to have testing kits available either for free or for a minimal charge. At the LGBTQ bar, The Hole owner Karen Sherman says she's going to make the testing kits available for free. Plus, she is offering safety cups for drinkers concerned about someone spiking their cocktail. Sherman says the new law is a good idea.
It's never really been a problem for this bar because our clientele tend to be different than most bars, but it's certainly worthwhile having.
The law was written by Long Beach Assembly member Josh Lowenthal. He says that he proposed it because of the challenges prosecutors face bringing charges after the crime has taken place. Smack talk has spread beyond bars to public government meetings. In the first of a 3-part series, KPBS's Amita Sharma explores how threats, conspiracy-laced accusations, and swearing have become commonplace at the San Diego County Board of Supervisors meetings.
There was a time when people addressed the Board of Supervisors with politeness.
Good morning. My name is Doug Winch. I live in the Hidden Meadows area. The 2 issues I wanted to touch on was fire safety and jobs, and those have already been done, so I'd just like to encourage you to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then the pandemic hit, and civility, by some, took a dive.
Good afternoon, Board of Tyrants.
Language, tone, even lucidity slid.
Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci!
The pandemic has left us with an unaddressed case of national PTSD. It scared the bejesus out of people.
Political scientist Carl Luna is director of the local Institute for Civil Civic Engagement in San Diego. His analysis is backed up by KPBS's own review of supervisors' meetings. KPBS watched the public comment sections from a sample of meetings from 2009 to 2023 and found a clear trend. Sure enough, the tide turned a year into the pandemic. Vaccines were a trigger.
Or just more time trying to save the people in the county and not murder them with these shots.
In 2009, there were 2 incidents of incivility at the supervisors' meetings. Last year, 167, mostly committed by the same small group of commenters. The offenses included conspiracies and threats.
So what are you doing to actually stop human trafficking? Nothing, because you are a part of it? Maybe.
$20,000 to continue coordinated vaccine clinics. I'd like to call those murder or genocide clinics.
You're felons. I mean, you will be. But, like, you should be taken to Gitmo.
Vargas, I can't wait for your arteries to clog. They're not doing it fast enough. And Nathan, you should kill yourself. I don't know where you are.
The profane.
You didn't give a shit about what we have to say. You guys are in big trouble because you have a power trip issue. Do you like being a cunt?
And racism.
Wound's not here, but the blackest thing about her is her heart.
There are a lot of comments that are quite anti-Semitic, and it's very troubling.
Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reimers says those comments cut her differently.
As a member of the Jewish community, my feelings are hurt. I feel afraid for people in our community.
She partly blames the nastiness at meetings on former President Donald Trump and his comments about race and women dating back to his first run for president in 2016.
There was like a shift, I think, that allowed like a normalization of discourse and toxicity that we're all grappling with now.
Luna says a subtler shift began more than 15 years ago. as a backlash to the election of Barack Obama as the first black president. The high cost of living has only worsened the vitriol. UCSD political scientist Thad Kauser says a loss of faith in public institutions, COVID vaccine mandates, and forced business closures intensified the divide.
All of those things drive people's anger, and in a context when they don't feel like they have anything in common with the other side.
All amplified by social media. Local public government meetings have typically been the bedrock of democracy, where hyper-local issues are discussed and immune to partisanship.
One of the reasons that local debates and local politics survived polarization longer is that we had thicker and stronger connections to our neighbors, and we had a lot of trust that we built up, but that trust isn't free. It's being eroded.
Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice research manager John Porton says there are other forces at work. Outside organizations determined to divide.
And we can see that there are groups organizing in Southern California whose reason for existence is to mobilize people to go to a series of public meetings and to bring up these policy preferences that they have.
San Diego psychologist David Peters says what we're really seeing at these meetings are scared people.
And in our spaces, people are converting the fear into anger so as to feel powerful.
Tomorrow, we'll examine the effect of that rage. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
No! It's expected to be packed at our local beaches for the 4th of July. Today, first responders are sharing some important safety reminders. First, they're reminding everyone that all personal use fireworks are illegal throughout the county. They can trigger PTSD for veterans and can scare away pets. They can also cause severe injury. Responders say sparklers are the most dangerous.
Over 40% of the injuries that happen during the 4th of July happen from those little innocuous sparklers that everyone likes to play with. Those sparklers are able to get up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
And for anyone grilling, the Burn Institute recommends putting a 3-foot barrier around them and not to put coals out in the sand. As for boat safety, lifeguards ask everyone to make sure that their registration is up to date and keep your boater card handy. It is the second time in history that skateboarding will be a part of the Olympic Games happening this summer in Paris. 4 of the skaters on Team USA are from San Diego County. And KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen is joining us live from the California training facility in Vista, where Team USA has gathered for the first time. Alex?
Yeah, Mike, we have no fireworks here, but there's some sparkles. The announcement just happened a few minutes ago, and the skaters are still around behind me, talking to some reporters. You know, San Diego has always been a mecca for skateboarding. It started last century with surfing and was known as sidewalk surfing when skateboard first started popularity. Of the 23 or so members from Team USA, 4 are from San Diego, as you mentioned earlier. That was Tate Carew, Gavin Bogger, Ruby Lilly, and Bright Weststein. We talked to 2 of them earlier today. Here's what they said.
It's been a really long year, lots of injuries, lots of ups and downs, good placements, bad placements. It's kind of just been all a part of the journey, and to actually make it and go and represent my country, that was the ultimate goal.
7 days a week, and I skate about 4 to 6 hours a day, so yeah, I think the more time you're skating and putting in work, the more progress and consistency you're going to see, for sure.
Back here live, the Olympics starts around July 26th through August 11th in Paris. The skateboarding event starts on July 27th, and there are 4 events: men's park and street, women's park, and street skating. Here live in Vista, I'm Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Very exciting for San Diego. A North Park gelato shop is celebrating being named the best in the country. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says regulars and first-timers stop by for a $1 scoops today.
Despite its name and decor, On's Dry Cleaning is not a place to get your clothes cleaned. It's a gelato shop, the best in the country, according to readers of USA Today.
Today's a thank you. A thank you to everyone that supported us and voted for us. So I'll bring you guys in.
Chris Warren and his co-founders opened the gelato shop 6 years ago. They'd been looking for the perfect location for over a year when they found a former dry cleaner's on Adams Avenue, and they decided to keep the name.
One night when we were just like really hitting a wall, Keenan was like, hey, what if we just called it On's Dry Cleaning? And it was On's Dry Cleaning and Alterations for 14 years, and we kind of laughed and thought it was funny.
That night, On's Dry Cleaning was born. The theme extends to the names of the ice cream flavors. There's canvas and olive oil and rosemary gelato with a sprinkle of black salt. Velour has salted caramel, chocolate, and pieces of chocolate-covered waffle cone. Teresa San Miguel and her kids, Amelia and Oliver, drove from Hamul to try On's for the first time. Standing in the line around the block on Monday morning, they were looking forward to a cold treat on a hot day.
The title is deceiving. We thought it was a laundromat, but we're excited. We like North Park too, so anytime we can get a chance to get out here, it's a good reason to come.
North Park isn't the only place to taste America's favorite gelato. On's Hat Makers is in Del Mar, and On's Athletic Field Services opened a few months ago in Petco Park. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
As we look at a really hot week here, the heat's going to be sticking with us all week long for the inland areas. Very hot in the deserts. We do have some air quality concerns here with some of this low-level air quality. Not all that great because of the air that's been sinking under this big ridge of high pressure, trapping some of the pollutants near the ground, and the heat helps to activate some of these chemical reactions that lead to more trouble. And the heat's going to be escalating later this week, especially in inland areas. Tonight, we're only going to drop down to 74 in Borrego Springs, mid-50s into Ramona, upper 50s into Escondido, and mid-50s into San Diego. So there are excessive heat watches off to our north, excessive heat warnings into the inland deserts here, inland San Diego County, for example. So the heat is on. And into this Tuesday afternoon, July 2nd, we're on track for 113 degrees into Borrego Springs. And near the coast will be a little more comfortable into the 70s, mid to upper 70s out there. But it'll be a dangerously hot week here into the inland deserts and also to our north into the San Joaquin Valley and the Central Valley. Widespread areas will see high temperatures of 110 degrees plus. We're locked in there already into the inland deserts of inland San Diego County. Lots of sunshine, and the concern is there for some heat-related illnesses. For the coastal areas, we're going to rise up into the upper 70s and eventually the low 80s here into Friday when the heat kind of reaches its pinnacle on Friday. Into the inland areas, lots of sunshine and highs into the low to mid 90s on Friday, near 90 still on Saturday. As we try to find a little bit of relief in the mountains, we're not going to really find a whole lot of cool air. We do rise into the low 80s Friday and Saturday. Plenty of sunshine, a little breezy out there, and with the dryness and that wind, there's always the concern of fire danger into the dry season, and we're certainly there. And in the deserts here, we're rising to 113 Tuesday, Wednesday, 118 on Friday. We're bringing the thermometer out there for the extreme heat, 116 on Saturday. So be careful out there, and again, use caution if you're doing anything in the heat, especially in those inland and desert locations. For AccuWeather, I'm Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
An iconic live music venue in North County is celebrating 50 years of rocking out. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer dives into the history and the festivities in store for the Belly Up.
B.B. King, Willie Nelson, Erykah Badu, John Mayer, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and even the Rolling Stones. Those are just a few of the artists who have graced the stage of Solana Beach's Belly Up Tavern since 1974.
In 1979, I got called up to the big leagues with the Padres, and I was across the street staying with a friend, and I just went for a walk one evening and opened the door. I heard music, and I walked into this place, and I swear it changed my life.
Musician and former San Diego Padre player Tim Flannery is very familiar with the space as someone in the crowd and playing on stage.
Look, I'm a preacher's kid. This is one of the best churches I've ever been to in my life. Spiritually sane, you know?
You might think they'd mark the 50th anniversary with a big party.
The best luck I had was you.
We have 150,000 people that come through the doors every year. And so we were originally thinking about some big event, and then we realized that only 600 people could come because that's our capacity.
Belly Up president Chris Goldsmith says instead, to celebrate 50 years, They'll have 50 shows throughout the summer, featuring local, regional, and national acts. He says the space feels like home to a lot of people, and each anniversary act has a previous connection to the club.
In the early years, there were a lot of blues bands and a lot of rock bands. In the 80s, there got to be a lot of reggae, a lot of soul music, George Clinton, Curtis Mayfield, Etta James, kind of started to create a legendary history for the venue.
Jerry McCann has lived in North County since the early 1970s and has played at the Belly Up over 100 times.
I was the first guy that had a working band that came in and was booked regularly.
While the space has changed and grown over the years, McCann says the heart of the Belly Up has remained the same, and its influence has spanned generations.
Because just like it's been a part of my life, I know people that have come here when they were kids, and now they're grandparents, and they got to have some fond memories too.
The Belly Up 50th anniversary shows start July 3rd and run through the end of September. The whole schedule is out on the Belly Up website, and some shows are already sold out. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
At this time, we want to update you on some breaking news. A fire that broke out this afternoon in Jacumba Hot Springs is now up to 100 acres. It started at McCain Valley Road and the 8. CAL FIRE says the fire is burning at a moderate rate of spread with the potential to spread to 1,000 acres. Golden Acorn Casino is a temporary evacuation point. CAL FIRE says that if you are in the fire area and feel threatened, do not wait. Leave immediately. And we will have all of the latest information on the fire as well as tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.